Throughout its long development cycle, Valve's first title, Half-Life, made bold promises that many didn't believe it would live up to. But they were proven wrong when the game was released and sold incredible numbers. Then the game kept selling, because its open approach to the mod community made for some of the most popular spin-offs in gaming history. This meant that a gamer who might not even like Half-Life would buy it anyway in order to play something like Counter-Strike. Valve had made one of the most innovative, influential, and best-selling games ever to hit the market. And they were about to do it again. The reveal of the cleverly titled Half-Life 2 at E3 2003 left a massive impact on the gaming community. After the reputation gained by the first game, everyone was counting down the days to the game's November 2003 release. But during the run-up to the launch, the unthinkable happened. Valve's servers were hacked and the game's source code, maps, and skins were stolen by an anonymous hacker. The hack is considered one of the biggest in gaming history. Enough code had been stolen to allow people to actually play the game through a few levels.
There you are. I wondered what was keeping you. Hope you didn't have any trouble finding me. Uh-oh.
This leaked version was buggy and for the most part boring, and was not an impressive display at all. So bad was the fallout that Valve announced that they would be unable to make their 2003 release window.
You know, we've been working on Half-Life 2 for several years at this point, and we're feeling very stressed out from the long hours, from being worried about some of the risks that we were taking from a product design perspective and from a technology perspective. And when we already have people who are pretty much on the edge to find out that everything that they've been working on for the last few years is now spread in a very unfinished form all over the internet, is super painful and demoralizing. You know, it's like the first thing a bunch of people did is they took, you know, the female character and created nude representations of her having sex with one of the scientists, right? So I had people coming into my office saying, is the company going to go out of business now, right? You know, should we just forget about doing Half-Life 2 and just go do something else now that the product has been ruined by having it launched like that?
Valve immediately contacted the FBI to begin an investigation of who made the hack. But Valve had always held good relations with the gaming community and decided to cash in on all the goodwill they had generated. Gabe Newell publicly confirmed the theft and asked the online community for help in tracking down the hacker. The response was overwhelmingly supportive, and Valve received a flood of tips and insights as to how the leak had spread across the internet. But despite the efforts of both the feds and the community, the identity of the hacker remained a mystery until he himself stepped forward, explained how he did it, and asked Valve for a job. Axel Gembe described in detail the hole in Microsoft Outlook's security that he had abused, claiming that he wasn't really a bad guy and, really, he'd love to work for them. Valve happily agreed, informed the feds, and set a trap for him. Sadly, Gemba sensed the trap and stayed in his native Germany, only to be arrested by German police. As if the whole fiasco hadn't been enough, Valve then got into a contract dispute with their own publishers. PC gaming in Asia tends to revolve less around home computers and more around cyber cafes, thus making these cafes the major breadwinner in that market. Publisher Vivendi stated that they had an exclusive right to sell to cyber cafes, but Valve insisted that they should retain the rights to sell to cyber cafes via digital distribution. The developer thus found itself in the bizarre position of suing the very people they wanted to help them sell their game. This dispute was still ongoing when the game was finally released, though was settled out of court a few months later. After all the delays, Half-Life 2 hit shelves on November 16, 2004, 6 years in the making. With all the bad news leading up to release, a nervous gaming community wondered if it could ever live up to the hype. Fortunately for them, their insanely high expectations were about to be blown away. tune in next time to see how Valve's innovation in every direction led to Monster's success on every front.